After 7 years in development hell, Hytale is finally here in early access, and it's blowing folks away. With so much time between its initial announcement and now, is it too late, or has Hypixel delivered on the promise of another killer block building title? I've played the game for about 15 hours, and I can tell you right now, it's definitely worth checking out. Oh, and before I get into it, I should also clarify that this is an early access first impressions review. All of the gameplay is from the first area, so there won't be too many spoilers for folks interested in the game, and it's not a finished game, so keep that in mind. Anyways, let's get into it, folks. Comparisons to Minecraft. Hytale is seldom talked about without first bringing up Minecraft, which frankly needs no introduction. There's no mistaking why the two are compared. You collect resources, craft tools and blocks, upgrade set tools, and you build cool shit in between all that. Hytale isn't even like the first to try taking on the concepts introduced by Minecraft, but it certainly has a flavor of its own that makes it stand out amongst existing block building games. Exploration. The largest change, in my opinion, is the exploration. This game leans hard on its RPG roots, and it has a lot to discover and explore. I get the impression that Hypixel wanted this game to really ingrain that sense of discovery into Hytale, and it shows. There are plenty of different biomes and areas, which are segmented and titled appropriately, and each one has unique resources, enemies, and atmosphere. The game doesn't stop you from getting to certain areas if you're not ready for them either. Early in the game, I found a desolate island covered in ash, and the enemies in the ruined towns kicked my ass. I'm sure a lot of folks have heard this before, but playing Hytale makes me feel like a kid again. Like I just said earlier, there's a real sense of discovery. I haven't fully felt this way since playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild back in 2017, so that's some high fucking praise. There's so much to find, and my 10-ish hours spent playing the game have been rife with new landmarks, biomes, and monsters to fight. There's a lot to loot as well. Chests, furniture, new blocks, and of course, ore itself are all available to find in this world, and this leads to a branch progression system. You can mine and craft the resources like usual, but you can also go explore and loot for stuff as well. I found some rare ore near the top of a mountain with more difficult enemies than the starting area, for example, and an upgraded sword out of an abandoned tavern with undead skeletons. Lots of these areas amount to finding the area, checking it out, fighting the monsters, and looting the chests, which is fun, but I hope to see more interactivity in the future. Travelers would be neat to come across, and I wish that the dungeons felt a bit more puzzly, I guess. I'm not sure how you do that with breakable environments, but I'm sure there's a way to figure it out. Maybe chests that can only be opened with keys, and when you pick that chest up it stays locked? Who knows, but I'm sure Hytale has something in mind for that. And, luckily, the gameplay loop and combat is satisfying enough that this doesn't stick out too badly. But you can tell that Hytale is a work in progress. And speaking of gameplay, the combat. The combat in this game is pretty fun, actually. I've discovered 5 different types of weapons so far. I'm not sure if there are more, but what is there has good variety. In an early encounter with some cave-dwelling enemies, I took a swing from a goblin before blocking his buddy's attacks, and in another encounter I frantically fled from an angry bear while sneaking in charged dagger attacks, which would bounce me away from the enemy. It's not super in-depth or anything, but there is a level of tactility to swinging your weapons that I enjoy. Well, sort of. Two-handed weapons have cool animations, but they're slow and don't impact the enemy as much as I'd like. It would be both way better and way cooler if you could stagger or even knock enemies back with heavier weapons, because right now, the regular weapons are simply more fun to use. Also, I do hope that enemies become a bit more choreographed so you can move out of the way or block better when they're attacking. But that's fine, and what is there is a good time. Plus, if games like Skyrim can get away with combat that's way less engaging, Hytale is doing fine. The building! When you're not exploring or fighting, you're probably building. Constructing stuff in Hytale is awesome, by the way. There are plenty of blocks to suit your creative endeavors, even if it's a little vague on how you get some of these blocks. For example, I still haven't figured out how to get the colored clay blocks, but I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. In creative mode, there's a bunch of tools that I haven't had the opportunity to use yet, so I'm just going to go over the exploration mode's building mechanics. If you guys want to see a creative mode video, let me know and I will probably cover it. But for now, let's get into it. For starters, there's a decent catalog of decorative blocks, including roof blocks, tables, chairs, pillars, and like a bunch of other stuff. Plus, you can place vertical fucking slabs. If you've ever built a bunch in Minecraft, you know that vertical slabs have been a long requested feature, so Hytale is doing some things right. I'm super stoked about that. Actually, in general, there are plenty of options to make building a little easier on the player. You can even set a preview that shows where the block will go when you place it, which is one of the many little niceties in this game. It's not all praise though, and it's definitely not finished. Like, there's no way to write on signs, for example, and because of that, there's no way to label chests without getting creative, and that's so annoying. Also, we did get vertical slabs, but we lost the ability to place slabs on like the top half of a block tile, which is also really annoying, and I ended up in plenty of situations where I wanted to use the slabs in a way that I couldn't. But you know, despite these nitpicks, the building is still pretty excellent and gives the player lots of options, and in some ways I prefer it to other block building titles I've played like Dragon Quest Builders, and it even has many things that I enjoy over Minecraft, especially like the roof blocks, those are great. Presentation. And speaking of other block building titles, sometimes presentation is just as important, as they often have a draw to the coziness of building a home base, and whatever else you feel like putting into the world. Atmosphere can really make or break that, so thankfully Hytale has the vibes that I often look for in a game like this. Visually, Hytale is very emblematic of the generic Western fantasy RPG trope, but it's also very cartoony and vivid, which makes the environment and world feel jovial. Strange considering the darker implications that some of these structures you can find emit, but it's a healthy balance, and something I personally enjoy. Animations are cool too. Both the player character and the enemies have good animation work, and I love how interacting with different tools will play a different animation. Sound design is also excellent. Oscar Garvin did a fantastic job putting the OST for Hytale together. There are a lot of songs and they fit the game like a well-loved sweater. The music is warm and relaxing when it needs to be, and adventurous and grand in other instances. The sound effects are great too. Swinging a pickaxe at a wall and hearing the stone crumble is awesome and sort of reminds me of SteamWorld Dig. And doing things like felling a tree and hearing the wood creak under its own weight as it comes crashing down is just immensely satisfying. Player movement also sounds nice, with footsteps changing based on where you're standing. I like it, and it's a good sign when I pause my personal playlist to listen to the in-game music. And good news, the nice visuals actually don't affect performance too badly either. On my 3-year-old MacBook Air, the game runs anywhere from 60 to 100 FPS with mostly medium settings, but there is a noticeable amount of stutter when traveling to unexplored sections of the world. Lowering the draw distance helped but didn't fully alleviate these performance woes, but I am using a laptop, so your mileage may vary depending on your computer, and it's bound to improve over time. In conclusion, I really should reiterate that Hytale is nowhere near completion, but even in early access it has so much to dig into, and the pun was intended by the way, and even more to explore. I'm totally invested. So to answer the big question, is it worth buying? Most definitely yes. Yes, do it, please. Enjoy the game, purchase it, talk more about it. I want more people to enjoy this game. I think so at least. The fundamentals are there, even if boss fights aren't finished and all the features of the game aren't ready yet. Despite this, Hytale's grand world, interesting building mechanics, and fun atmosphere make it well worth the $20 asking price. If you're a fan of block building games like Minecraft, or even a fan of games with a lot of exploration, you will love this game. It's fucking sick. But yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for watching, folks, and please leave a like, and maybe even subscribe if you want to see more of this oh so sophisticated lizard content. Plus, if you've had problems with backlogs, check this video that I'm linking right now out. Tell me how you're feeling about Hytale. See you later, folks. Adios, my friends.